So you've convinced yourself that you could never afford to buy a house. You're looking at prices, mortgage rates, and everything happening in the market and thinking there's just no way. It's not possible anymore. But here's the truth. Yes, it's hard. But no, it's not impossible. Over the next few minutes, I'm breaking down the 9 reasons why you probably can't afford the house you want and what you can actually do about it. The first one has nothing to do with your income, your savings, or interest rates. It's all in your head. I know it's tough out there. Prices are up, rates are up, and let's be honest, the headlines, they're not helping at all. You keep hearing words like unaffordable, housing crisis, priced out. And after a while, it starts to feel like buying a home is only for the wealthy. And that kind of thinking, that's paralyzing. But again, it's not impossible. And while the numbers do matter, we'll break that down later. The first real battle is the one going in your head. I call this the mindset trap. I've had clients who were fully qualified, pre-approved, good credit, solid income, but they froze. Not because they couldn't afford to buy, but because it felt like the wrong time. Why? Because of what they're seeing online, friends telling them to wait, headlines screaming about high rates. Suddenly they're second guessing every number, every neighborhood, and every decision. They talk themselves out of taking action, even when the opportunity was right in front of them. Now here's another mindset trap I hear all the time. I'm just going to wait for home prices to crash, that's when I'll buy. Here's what most people don't realize. When a real estate crash happens, it's usually part of a larger economic crisis. And guess what happens then? Buyer confidence tanks. People get scared. They sit on the sidelines even with lower prices. I saw this firsthand back in 2008. Home values dropped, but so did demand, not because deals weren't there, but because people were afraid. Many lost jobs. Lending tightened. People didn't want to make a big financial move in the middle of a meltdown. So yes, prices may go down during a crash, but your ability and willingness to act often goes down with it. And that's if you still have job security, income, and loan approval in place. Look, I'm not saying ignore the math. We'll get into the numbers just a bit. But if you let fear, media noise, and what if scenarios, run in your head, you're gonna get stuck. Even if the perfect home shows up at the perfect price, you won't be ready to act. Okay, moving on to number 2, you're not tracking your money. A lot of people think the problem is their income, but often the real problem is that they have no idea where their money is going. I've worked with plenty of buyers who swore up and down. They would tell me, Mac, there's no way we can save for a down payment. But the second we looked at their spending, we found hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars every month just leaking out. Here's what I mean. Subscription services that they forgot they were paying for. Daily coffee or lunch runs adding up to hundreds a month. Impulse Amazon buys. The just $20 stuff that somehow ends up being $300 by the end of the week. Car payments that eat up more than 15% of their income. Reality is, if you don't know your numbers, you can't control them. And if you can't control them, you'll never feel like you're in a position to buy. Here's the fix. For the next 30 days, track every dollar that comes in and goes out. Not just the big bills, everything. Use a budgeting app, a spreadsheet, even a notebook, whatever you'll actually stick to. And then ask yourself, what's essential? What's just a habit? What could you cut for the next 6 to 12 months if it meant owning a home sooner? I've had buyers save $500, $1,000 a month just by making small cuts and being intentional. Over a year, that's $6,000 to $12,000, enough to make a serious dent in a down payment, covering closing costs, or beef up your emergency fund. And here's the kicker. When you track your money and take control, you don't just free up cash, you build confidence. You start to see that owning a home is actually within reach. Bottom line, if you want to afford the house you want, you've got to get a handle on your money first, because you can't fix what you don't measure. Okay, next up, most buyers think about what they can afford in terms of just the purchase price or the monthly mortgage payment. Owning a home comes with more cost than just the mortgage. And if you don't plan for them, they'll hit you like a ton of bricks. I'm talking about property taxes, home insurance, HOA if you have them, utilities that might be higher than what you're used to, and of course, maintenance and repairs. Here's the thing, stuff breaks, roofs leak, water heaters quit on you, usually at the worst possible time. I've seen buyers stretch every dollar too close on their home, and then 6 months later, they're stressed out because the AC went out and they've got nothing set aside to fix it. You gotta plan ahead. Set aside 1 to 3% of your home's value every year for maintenance and repairs. That's not a hard and fast rule, but it's a good safety net. And yes, you can soften some of those surprise costs by buying or getting a home warranty. A home warranty can cover big ticket repairs like appliances, HVAC, and plumbing issues, but it's not a magic shield. It won't cover everything. So think of it as a safety cushion, not a set it and forget it solution. Next up, moving on to number 4, you're looking at the wrong price range. This one's huge and it trips way more buyers than you'd think. I got a story for you. Years ago when HGTV was featuring all these homes, you know, with open floor plan, farm kitchen style sink, with a huge island, etc. I met a prospective buyer and she told me that her budget was $400,000 and then proceeded to tell me she wanted open concept, vaulted ceilings, commercial grade appliances, etc., etc. I swear to you, I asked her, are you being serious? Because her $400,000 was literally half the price of a rundown house that needs a lot of updating, let alone something that was completely remodeled the way she liked it in the area where she wanted to buy. Look, I know you've got your dream home. We all have them in mind, right? Maybe 3 bedrooms, big backyard, perfect kitchen. And then what happens? You start scrolling through Zillow and suddenly you're only looking at houses that it's like $300,000 over your budget. Here's what happens next. Everything in your price range starts to look like garbage in comparison. So you get discouraged. You convince yourself, if I can't get what I want, why bother right now? But here's the problem. Your expectations are working against you. When you focus on houses you can't afford yet, you're wasting your time, you lose motivation, and sometimes miss great opportunities that are within reach. You gotta flip your approach. Instead of starting with your dream list and forcing it into your budget, start with your budget and see what's possible in that price range. And here's the part most people forget. You don't have to buy your forever home right away. And I'll talk about this more later. Your first home can be a stepping stone. Maybe it's a townhouse or a condo you live in for a few years. Maybe it's a smaller single family home that you can fix up over time. I've had clients start in a $500,000 home, build up equity and trade up to $1 million home in just a few years. And if they waited until they could afford the $1 million home, they'd still be renting today. If you stop chasing the perfect house and start focusing on the right house for where you are now, you'll actually get in the game. And that's how you move up to what you really want. Okay, we're almost there. Moving on to number 5. You're letting interest rates scare you out of the game. Hey, look, I get it. Interest rates right now, they aren't 2 to 3%. like we saw a couple of years ago. But here's the thing. If you're financially ready to buy, letting rates hold you back might actually cost you more in the long run. Here's another quick story. I had a client in 2021 who could have bought at $750,000 when the rates were in the low 3s. You know what they did? They decided to wait until rates go back down. Fast forward 2 years, rates are up, but so did the prices. The same house, it's now $850,000 and they're paying a higher rate on top of it. Here's what most people don't realize. Prices have stayed strong. They didn't crash. Waiting for a deal in the market is like waiting for the iPhone to go on clearance. You can always refinance later if rates drop, but you can't go back in time and pay for last year's prices. Equity is a game changer. The sooner you buy, the sooner you start building it. Stop making interest rates the only factor in your decision. Focus on, can you afford the payment today without being house poor? Are you in a stable financial position? That means debt-free, emergency fund, down payment, are they all ready? If yes, that means you could be ready. Rates can change, but the opportunity to buy now might not be there later. And here's the kicker. Sometimes it's not the rates or prices holding you back. It's something way smaller that you haven't even thought about. That's what we're getting into next. By the way, if you're finding this helpful, hit that like button so more people can see it. And if you're serious about buying in the Bay Area, I post tips like this every week to help you navigate this market without second guessing yourself. So make sure you're subscribed. Number 6, I touched on this earlier, but let's really talk about it. The Forever Home is kind of a scam, not in a shady way, but in a Hallmark movie way. The idea is you'll find the one perfect house and live there happily ever after. But in real life, that's almost never how it works. You change, your life changes, the market changes. The kitchen you love today might feel tiny in 10 years. The quiet street you adore might become a traffic shortcut. And the house that you thought was it, suddenly it isn't. Here's a pro tip. Stop watching HGTV. That perfect dream home montage they show, it's scripted, it's staged, and it's setting you up to be disappointed in real life. Even people who think they found their forever home end up moving. I've seen families sell after 3 years because of a job offer, empty nesters downsize sooner than expected, or they just get tired of the neighborhood. Instead of chasing a forever, look for a home that fits your right now. If it works for your life today, it's a win. And if you outgrow it, that's just the next chapter. Number 7, a lot of buyers think the lowest monthly payment means they got the best deal. Not always. Sometimes that lower monthly payment comes with higher interest over time, stricter terms, balloon payments that can hit you hard, or upfront costs. And picking a loan just because your bank offered it first, that's like buying the first car you test drive without checking the others. Talk to different lenders. For me, 3 would be enough. Compare rates, fees, and terms, and don't be afraid to work with a mortgage broker who can shop around for you. The right loan can save you thousands. The wrong one can cost you your home. Moving on to number 8. A lot of buyers think their competition is just other people just like them. First-time buyers with similar budgets. But the brutal truth, most of the time you're not losing to similar buyers. You're up against cash-rich sellers who just sold the home and have equity to burn. You're up against investors who see homes as assets and will waive contingencies without blinking. You're up against, in the Bay Area, high-income tech buyers who can throw in massive down payments from stock bonuses. And here's the part most people miss. When you lose out on a home, you can't just move on and hope for better luck next time. You need to find out why. Did the winning offer have fewer contingencies? Maybe a bigger deposit? Were they closing faster? Or were they much higher than yours? And where does your offer stack against the competition? Every time you lose and don't learn the why, you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. This isn't just a buyer pool. It's like Shark Tank. And if you don't study the sharks, you're just swimming blindly. All right, finally, number 9. Time is not on your side. One of the biggest myths in real estate is, I'll just wait until the market cools down. Here's the brutal truth. The market doesn't cool the way you think. If prices dip, interest rates might climb. If rates drop, demand explodes. And in the Bay Area, there's always someone ready to pounce the second the math works in their favor. There's a saying in real estate, you don't wait to buy real estate. You buy real estate and wait. While you're holding off for the perfect moment, other buyers are out there adjusting their strategy, building equity, and learning from every offer they lose. By the time you decide to act, you may be competing against seasoned pros, not rookies. The perfect time to buy isn't when the market shifts. It's when you are ready financially and mentally to compete and win. The Bay Area market or beyond can be competitive, but the right strategy makes all the difference. Whether you're thinking about upsizing, downsizing, or making your very first move, I'm here to help you navigate every step. It's never too early to explore your options. The more you know now, the more confident you'll feel when you're ready. Hey, I'm Mac Rogers. I keep tabs on the Bay Area real estate market and neighborhood trends so you can make confident decisions without second guessing. Thanks for watching.